Well, the trial is, of course, being followed closely across the country and around the world. Joining us now to break down today's testimony and give us some perspective is Jack Glazer, a public policy professor at UC Berkeley, who focuses on applying psychology to explain racial and ethnic disparities in law enforcement. Professor Glazer, thank you for being with us.
Glad to be here.
Well, we know your research also includes stereotyping and discrimination. So what are your biggest takeaways from the trial so far, especially when it comes to testimony we're hearing from law enforcement professionals on how use of force is being defined?
Well, one thing to bear in mind is that it's almost impossible to attribute any one event, be it use of force or a stop or search in policing or in any other domain. It's very difficult, if at all possible, to attribute that single event to racial bias. There are always multiple circumstances going on. But when we look at the data, when we look at the aggregate statistics, it's very clear that these kinds of incidents are more likely to happen to unarmed Black men in America. As far as the testimony on use of force today, I think it's unusual for police professionals to be coming out so forcefully condemning and disapproving of the kind of use of force that was employed by a fellow police officer.
Well, Professor Glazer, obviously this is your area of expertise. Many times, people don't like to hear that, but you're saying, the numbers actually back up that there is a difference. So do you feel that George Floyd's race played a part in the way he was taken into custody, everything that resulted thereafter, or even the defense saying drugs are what caused his death?
Well, again, I can't say in this situation, we don't have a smoking gun per se. We don't have an officer stating that race was a basis in real time. But again, if we look at the statistics, it's overwhelmingly the case that Black Americans are subjected to more use of force and use of force that's out of proportion to their behavior relative to other groups. And so I think the burden of proof, not the criminal, court burden of proof, but in general, the societal burden of proof, it should not be on them to demonstrate that when you see an incident like this, that it wasn't race neutral. I think the evidence is overwhelming that there is a real problem. And as to whether or not that was the motivating factor here is, we won't be able to determine. But what we can determine from that videotape is that the force was excessive and Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd unnecessarily.
All right, a two-part question here for you. We hear so much about the need for police reform. There are people calling for defunding the police. Then you have an opposite camp encouraging backing the blue. Do you think this trial and George Floyd's death is going to change policing, and if so, in what capacity?
Yes, I think George Floyd's death is already changing policing. I think that, again, this videotape is so hard to ignore, and the evidence is so overwhelming. And it's telling the rest of the U.S. public and the world something that Black Americans have known for centuries, which is, again, that they are subjected to disproportionate police action, including use of force. And so now with this video evidence, it's abundantly clear that something this horrible can and does happen, and that you could have 3 other officers standing by and participating and not intervening. And so it's become evident to a broader sector of America that there's a problem with policing, and that police are getting involved in too many incidents, and that they're using force too often. And there does appear to be reform happening. There's reform happening at the statewide level in California. There's a new law on use of lethal force. And there's a lot of reform happening at local levels. And there are a lot of police departments that are trying to improve their practices as well.
All right, well, Professor Glazer, we don't have much time, but I do want to ask you, based on what you've seen so far, do you think Derek Chauvin will be convicted on any of the charges?
I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a legal expert.
Right.
I do believe he will, because I just can't imagine that a jury would consider his use of force to be reasonable given the circumstances, and that it's so far beyond reasonable. I would expect a jury to convict on at least one of the murder counts. But I have to say, if they do convict, it's not really going to move the needle very much, because it's so abundantly clear that this was a murder. If they don't convict, it's really catastrophic, because it's going to send a signal that there's really nothing a police officer can do on tape that isn't going to cause them to be held accountable.
All right, I know I put you on the spot there. Professor Jack Glazer, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you.